Hi, how's everyone doing tonight? This is Amy Hamilton, author of The Project Manager, Life is a Project, and The Consummate Communicator, Character Traits of True Professionals. I am here as part of 24 authors in 12 hours, and I am super excited to be here with Michael Sloan, and he wrote this amazing book, Leo Kane, Journey Through the Veil.
Yep.
And I want to just say I'm super excited. I skimmed this book a little bit. I am a big fan of fantasy and sci-fi kind of books. I have to be honest. So when I took a look at the back of your jacket, I was like, this is a very, very kind of cool, fun read. So the first question I have for you, Michael, is what inspired you to write this book?
All right. Well, first off, thank you, Amy, so much. And I'm looking forward to finishing off, whoops, wrong side, the project manager. As I was, like skimming through it. And I thought, oh my gosh, yeah, life is a project. So, I need to, read this and get some tips and tricks. It's going to be awesome. Um, as for, again, thank you. As for what inspired me to write the book, so I was actually in Afghanistan and I was deployed there. This time it was about 8 months or so. And throughout my entire career, I've been in IT and management and project management and all that other type of stuff. Very, very professional, stoic type of things, right? But as an outlet, I used to get into a lot of acting on stage, and I would do it, in Germany, in Ohio, different countries, different cities, all this type of stuff. But when you're in Afghanistan, there's not very many stages you can go on, right? So I thought, okay, I need an outlet. And for years, my wife and I had been talking about, writing a book, doing something. And I thought, well, I'm working 12 to 14 hours a day, coming home, and what do I do? I can read, which I did quite a bit of course, or I could watch TV, play games, and I'm not really a video game type of person or anything like that. So I thought, well, shoot, this is the perfect opportunity after duty hours. If I'm not on call or not doing something, I can write. So I took that time, put it to good use, and before you knew it, every day I was excited, more excited to just get into it and do it. And that's what inspired me is, I needed an outlet, and my creativity just came out in the book, versus on stage like I was normally.
Now, that is such a great thing. So once you start the writing process, what kept you motivated to keep going?
Oh, motivation. Tell somebody. So I told some friends and family what I was doing, and you hear so many people say, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to write a novel. I'm going to write a novel," and then years later, the novel's not there. So what kept me motivated is telling friends and family who would keep me honest, hold my feet to the fire, like, "Hey, how's it coming? How's it going?" And then also early on, and I did this even before my first rounds of edits, I had friends, good friends, a lot of like my theater friends that are very creative as well. I would give them chapters and say, "Hey, can you take a look at this? What do you think?" And after a while, I was like, "Hey, what's going to happen next? Where is this adventure going to take Leo?" And their feedback just built that fire even more. So it definitely motivated me seeing that it was being enjoyed. So that was huge for me. That definitely kept me wanting to go on and on and on and on.
So how did you come up with this concept, this young boy, this Leo Kane? What made you
Oh,
think, like, of all the random things you can write about, like how did you come up to this concept? It's really unique, and I really I just I'm very captivated by it.
oh, okay, yeah. So like I said, I do a lot of professional type of geeky stuff, right? And what I do is I'll read a professional book and then I will read a book for an enjoyment. And more often than not, I would find myself reading young adult, fiction, fantasy, that type of thing. In fact, while I was in the desert, I picked up a book from the library. It was Oh, I'm blanking on the name now, but it was a long book, close to 600-700 pages, and I thought, oh, this will get me through a while, right? After 2 or 3 pages, I was like, oh man, I've already read this. I didn't even realize it when I picked it up. So I thought, you know what? I love fantasy. I love YA, young adult. So why don't I just try this? So I came up with a few different storylines. I kept, and in the story as well, I wanted to make sure that it was suitable for all ages. I have had some people email me and say, hey, I read it first to make sure it was okay for my kids, and thank you, it is okay for my kids. So that's what I wanted to do, and that's how I came up with Leo, is basically trial and error until I got to a point where I was like, hey, this is something or someone I think other people can relate to. And of course, it's not all about Leo. There's a vast amount of characters in this book.
Right.
I wanted to keep it interesting. And one of the other main characters, her name is Angel, Angel Diana. And I wanted a strong female in there to balance out Leo. The typical teenage boy who discovers that he's magical, or Jinn, a knight. And so Angel, I wanted to, bring her in there as well. And my inspiration for Angel was, or is rather, my daughter. When my daughter is, out in the sun, she tans really easily, strong female. So her, Angel, along with Leo, I wanted to make sure that they balanced each other out and was, an easy read for anybody. And also, like I said, appropriate, age appropriate. I wanted to be able to, the family to enjoy it.
Yeah, and a book that your daughter could read.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, my daughter's 24, so she can read about anything. But I do remember when she was younger, there was a lot of YA that she would read, and I would read it too. Actually, I think that's how I got into it.
So one of the things that kind of made me a little bit sad when you were talking, and is that you said, I read a professional book and then I have to read a book for enjoyment. And it's kind of this feeling that we get, I think, a lot, that our professional books can't be enjoyable. And so that's why I started writing in the business leadership fable genre, because I feel like you can still get that kind of professional development in a way that it's still a story. And that's one of my goals for that. And you and I both talked about how we're both project managers. We both work in IT, cyber kind of fields, and everything that's kind of geeky. And then the book gives you like an outlet and a different way of approaching things.
Oh, absolutely.
And you said, I wish I would have kind of thought about this more as a project than what I did initially. So can you describe some of how, like, things that you would have done different to do your book as a project?
Okay. So first of all, I think I did a good job of scheduling because I was marking out time every day. And that's, of course, after I figured out what I wanted to do, basically my own little kickoff meeting, what I wanted to do. But if I had to do it again, and I will do it again, I'm a few chapters into the second book now.
And your plan for your book is it's going to be a trilogy, right?
Yes, it is going to be a trilogy. Yes, absolutely. And I've got some great ideas for Leo in the future. In fact, breaking off the project management stuff just for a second, Leo is not going to be without fault. Absolutely not. There's weaknesses in there, so we're going.
Because he's a teenage boy, we already know he's got
right, and he comes from a line of his family. Was not the greatest. When you think about bad guys and wizards and stuff like that, his line has some of that in there too. And we go into that in the first couple chapters of the first book, so we're definitely going to explore that. So with that though, that's part of the scope of going back into projects. That's going to be part of the scope. I can set my own requirements. The requirements of how I want to describe Leo. So when I was writing the first one, I hadn't really thought of it that way, but now I can think of it that way. And if I want to change it, that's fine. I just go back into the planning process of, PNP. No big deal. I could, because, in a project, you go in and out of the different processes. It's not going to be linear. So I'll just go back out and rescope it and make it the way I want it. Another thing that I wish I would have considered was cost. Time, because time cost. I also wish I would have looked at how you could get because you can get one ISBN for your book for a certain cost, or you can get 10 and it's a better deal. You're going to have to figure out the cost of, the covers, because I thought, oh yeah, I'm pretty artistic. I like that kind of stuff. Oh, no. You want to get a professional to do that type of stuff. So I didn't think about that. Another thing I wish I would have thought of was quality control. So I did get editors, and I say plural because I did switch editors, and my second editor, Spilled Red Ink, was absolutely amazing. She definitely held my feet to the fire for a lot of things and kept the quality there. So, planning it, I wish I would have thought of that in the future. Execution, that's when I thought of it. I should have thought about it earlier. And also for quality, I would have gotten reviews a lot earlier as well, because if you get a negative review early on, then you can say, oh, okay, negative review from like test readers or something like that. Then you can go back and rework it to where, the audience is going to appreciate it more. So I definitely would have done that. So changes, definitely cost, definitely quality, in the fact that, I would have researched it a little bit more. And schedule management, that was pretty easy for me because, like I said, I had quite a bit of time then. And that is one of the reasons I'm looking forward to reading your latest book, is because scheduling now, it's different. I'm working full time. I still try to go out and run when I can. I've got obligations outside of work. And of course, I've got my family that I want to be with. So scheduling, sometimes I have to go back into the planning process for scheduling, but that's okay because it's my book, I can do that, but I still need to hold my own feet to the fire because, I'll, announce it here that I want the second book out, hopefully by, I'm shooting for September or October of next year. So I think that will give me time to be able to write it, go through the editing process, get those early reviews from the test readers, not the Amazon reviews or anything like that. I want them from the test readers so I know the audience will appreciate it. So that's how I'm working in, life as a project and, trying to figure this out. And it's, no project's going to be perfect. If it is, we wouldn't need the PMP or the PMBOK or anything like that. So it is definitely, I'm going in and out of the processes while writing the second one.
No, that's such a tremendous thing. And so when I look at your book and you're just, you have this amazing, rich world that you create. And I guess one of my questions for you as an addition is how did you come up with this entire carved realm?
Okay. So I was actually beating myself up because as I was outlining everything, because I outline it all in, my legal pads and all that other kind of stuff. And I thought, no, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And finally, one day, I just kind of had an epiphany. I was like, this is writing. This is art. This is, you can make it anything you want. If I wanted to get into the different realms where Leo visits, if I wanted him to jump off of, a step onto a trampoline and fly 1,000,000 feet into the air, hey, you know what? It's fiction. I could do it. No holds barred. And once I finally got that through my thick head, that's when I started coming up with the different realms, the Spring Crow realm, the Carved realm, the next realm that his next family member that he's going to be battling is living in, and then worlds beyond that. Because why not? Just as far out as you can go, pushing the limits while still making it enjoyable and just a little believable, So
Yeah, because it's fantasy. It's not bounded in this reality.
exactly. Yes, yes. So, and once I, like I said, got it through my thick head that I can do that, boy, it just became more enjoyable. And then the ideas just started flowing more and more. So that, oh man, that was a great epiphany. I loved it.
So, Michael, this is a book that seems kind of inspired by other great fantasy, great YA. You've mentioned that you do a lot of reading. What kind of reading did you do? What kind of research did you do? What inspired you in that sense of what would you recommend to readers right now, besides, of course, reading your own book?
Oh, okay. Read mine first. Yep.
and then pre-order the sequel
Yes,
as soon as
there
it
you
comes out.
go. Yes. So what I would recommend is going out onto different blogs. For instance, I use Goodreads to see what's out there, what other people are recommending. If you're interested in writing, about twice a year, I will read a book, and this book will give me a tremendous amount of ideas. In fact, I've got it, right here. It's an old one, Joseph Campbell, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. From what I understand, a lot of authors will, write with that in their lap because it takes you from the beginning all the way to the end of how the sequences should go. And there's a lot of, mythological examples in there that you can draw inspiration from. And then other inspirations was, I would read something in, The Hero with a Thousand Faces, and then just go down a rabbit hole of, oh, well, that's a good idea. Well, what about this? And then what about this? So I would absolutely recommend that if you're interested in writing, especially fiction, of the hero's journey. And I tried to use that same concept for Leo Kane. From what I understand, if you trust Wikipedia and Google and all that kind of stuff, it's the same type of curve that Luke Skywalker took. So I thought, well, you know what? If it's good enough for Luke Skywalker, it's going to be good enough for Leo Kane. So that's how I tried to do that. And I definitely drew inspiration from that. Of course, the top YA seller, you all know the book, right? I love that. I've probably read those several times each, and then new ones that other people don't think about reading. I just enjoy that, and that's where I drew a lot of inspiration without copying. I mean, if you want to read the top YA book, read it, but don't rewrite it, because it's already there. Make it your own.
I think it's often hard to kind of come up with that new thing, the new inspiration, and not have something copied. But you make a good point about the hero's journey is a classic, and whether it's Luke Skywalker or Harry Potter or whoever it happens to be, then that's kind of what happens in these realms. And so when you look at the fantasy space, it's hard to say this is completely new. But on the other hand, what it is it's got so many different nuances and so many different layers that you could tell it's not the same thing, just rewritten with different names.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's very important. And like I said, make it your own. And you're absolutely right. There is so much YA out there, especially like the Harry Potters and stuff like that, that you're going to find some similarities, especially if you're talking about magic or if you're talking about, slaying dragons or anything like that. There's going to be those little nuances as an author that you have to realize, okay, am I going down a road that 100 other people have gone down? Or am I going down a road that maybe 2 people have gone down? Or, oh my gosh, have I thought of something that I haven't seen this in publication? If you come up with something that you haven't seen in publication and your test audience likes it, explore it, exploit it, go for it, just do it. And like I was saying earlier, this is your story. This is fantasy. It is wide open. You can do absolutely anything. I mean, look at some of the greatest movies of all time. So outlandish. That is amazing, and people enjoy that. So why can't you do it, So I love that, just the exploration, the process. It's fun. And I want the readers to have fun with it as well.
Michael, it's amazing. I can just feel this passion from you right now. It's pretty great. The author before you also she writes YA, but like very traditional, like college romance. And then her other part was like witches and all these other things and vampires. And so it's very interesting, the different perspectives, the way things are written and how, there's vampire stories and then there's other vampire stories,
Right.
There's magic and there's more magic. So it's not like somebody has a corner on the market on magic, on mystical experiences. And I think it's really fantastic to just get new stories out there. And so one of the things for you and I that I think is like just really incredible is so many times I've met people through authors groups, but we met through a mutual friend, which is great. And you are also a veteran from the U.S. Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm using this as a shameless plug that on November 11th, I am going to be doing an event, and it's going to be another 24 author series. It's going to feature my very, very wonderful agent from Free Agent Press, who's an Air Force veteran. I've already invited Michael to come in and be a part of this one too, because November 11th, for those of you who may or may not be aware, is Veterans Day. And it is a super amazing opportunity to celebrate veterans for their service, and then to realize, so often you might just think, oh, this is going to be a veteran event. I'm only going to get like these kind of like war stories. And you're like, no, this is a veteran event, and it's Leo Kane. And so many of the concepts for Leo Kane coming from when you were based in Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a really amazing, creative, productive way that you were able to use that time. And when you were in Afghanistan, were you able to reach out? Did you have any kind of virtual writers groups or things that you were a part of? Or how did you keep going, even though you were really in this kind of not the best environment?
Yeah, I'm sorry, you froze on the last second of that.
Okay. I was saying, how did you keep going, even though you were not in the best environment?
So no, I did not participate in any virtual writers groups. I was actually on the road quite a bit, with the job that I had there. It wasn't all IT. It was going out and visiting the airmen that were supporting Army and NATO. So I would meet somebody and we would get to talking, like, sit down at the chow hall, just kind of chit chat. And I would throw ideas at them, say, hey, what do you think about this? And you get some really, really good feedback from strangers, surprisingly enough, because, you've got nothing to lose by asking and they've got nothing to lose by telling you the truth. So that's how I handled that. And while I was on the road and I wasn't, at quote unquote home in writing, that's how I kept motivated. And that's how, I got some ideas from that as well, from talking to other people, perfect strangers, bouncing ideas.
Well, I think that's a really important point too, is that, especially it's COVID right now, so many people are in a very similar situation with the pandemic where they're in this lockdown, they're kind of isolated, and people love to interact and people love to share their experiences with each other. And I think it's a great opportunity. Interact with strangers. It's really terrific. We're getting to the point now where I have to do the wrap up. And Michael, are there any questions that I haven't asked you that you really wanted to address, or, just any pearls of wisdom you want to share before we wrap up?
All right. Well, I did promise that I would put a shout out to my book is actually not just available on Amazon. You can get it through the ISBN through other, stores, but one store, an actual brick and mortar store, is now carrying my book. And I think that's awesome. So, I just want to give a shout out to Jay and Mary's Book Center in Troy, Ohio. I'm living in Florida. I kind of want to go to Ohio just to see my book in an actual bookstore. I think that's just awesome. So thank you guys. I really appreciate that. I think that's cool. As for words of wisdom, just keep plugging away. Another one of my friends recently wrote a book, and she published, and I read that, and it took her a while, and it's a great book, and she's coming out with the sequel. She just kept plugging away and sharing it with her test readers and her friends. Another friend that I used to act with, actually, out in Wiesbaden, Germany, he just came out with a book as well. Like daily affirmations type of thing, and it's a short read. So it doesn't matter if you want to write a novel like I have, or if you want to do a short book. Just write, just do it. You've got nothing to lose. Just put pen to paper, come up with some ideas, and then type it out. If it's not good, okay, that's fine. That's what editors are for, right? And you can always start over. I mean, that's the beautiful thing. It's yours. Absolutely yours. You can start over. You can change it. You can go back to that project plan and redo it all. It's fluid. So that was definitely my words of wisdom, is just do it. And if you don't think you're doing a good job, just keep plugging away.
Thank you so much for your time, Michael. This has been so enjoyable, and I will tell you that I can't wait to just be able to curl up with Leo Kane and get a chance to read this amazing novel that you've written.
All right, and then definitely tell me what you think.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.